Python supports recursion. So how to write the recursive code in Python we shall be discussing here. What is recursion? So let me explain that one at first. The process in which a function calls itself directly or indirectly will be known as the recursion, and the corresponding function will be known as the recursive function. So direct calling means what? Within the function body, the function will be called itself. So that is a direct calling. And what about the indirect calling? From the function, another function will be called, but that very function in turn will be calling the calling function. So that is known as the indirect recursion. So whatever the case, the recursion is there, and the respective function is called a recursive function. Using recursive algorithms, certain problems can be solved quite easily and with a fewer number of codes. In recursion, there will be a base case. So what is a base case? That means in base cases, for certain inputs, outputs are known to us, and that is known as the base case. Just consider in case of factorial calculation, the base case is that if the input number is 0 or if the input number is 1, then the factorial value will be 1. So that is the base case. So in case of GCD calculation of two numbers, the base case is that if the two numbers are equal, then GCD is any one of the number itself. So that is known as a base case. That means for certain inputs, outputs are known to us. So Python supports recursion. So advantages of recursion. Recursive functions make the code look clean and elegant. We know that in our data structure, we had two algorithms for your towers of Hanoi problem, and we know that in case of recursive algorithm, we wrote only 4 to 5 statements are there, but in case of non-recursive algorithm, we had to write one page full of codes. So that means the recursive algorithm are very easy to write. The fewer codes are there, so obviously the programmers will feel comfortable environment to write a function in a recursive version. So a complex task can be broken down into simpler subprograms using recursion here. So sequence generation is easier with recursion than using some nested iterations. So now what are the disadvantages of recursion? Sometimes the logic behind recursion is hard to follow through. So that is a very important one. So while writing the recursive algorithm, you must be having a good grip over the programming logic. Otherwise, sometimes the recursive algorithm will become too much tricky for you to understand the logic. Recursive calls are expensive, inefficient, as they take up a lots of memory and time. When the depth of recursion is too big, in that case, obviously it will go on keeping the instances of the previous coding. So that's why the huge memory requirement will be there, and that's why there is one of the disadvantages of using one recursive algorithm. And recursive functions are hard to debug. So these are the different advantages and disadvantages of recursion. So let us go for one practical demonstration where we will be showing you that how this recursion can be implemented using Python coding. So here is the demonstration for you. In this particular demonstration, we are going to discuss recursion, how to implement recursion. Here we have defined one method. The name of the method is fact, which is taking this n as input parameter. If n is less than equal to 1, return 1. We know that in case of recursion, there will be some base case. That means for certain inputs, outputs will be known to us. We know that if the value of n is equal to 0 or the value of n is equal to 1, then factorial of n will be 1 here. Otherwise, what will happen? Return n star factorial n minus 1. So let us suppose we have passed this value 5 here. So n will be assigned to 5. 5 is less than equal to 1 is false. So it will go for 5 into factorial 4. Now factorial 4, so 4 will be assigned to n. 4 is less than equal to 1, the condition is false. So it will go for 4 into factorial 3. So again in this case we will be having 3 into factorial 2. Again 2 is less than equal to 1, condition is false. So it will go for 2 into factorial 1. And n is less than equal to 1 will be true. So it will be returning the value 1 here. So that is my factorial 1, that will get multiplied with 2. So I'll be getting 2 here. So that will get multiplied with 3. So now the this particular recursive call will retrace back to through the callers, and ultimately I'm going to get this one, that is 5 into factorial 4. So factorial 4 will be obtained as 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So that will be our 24 into 5. So 120 will be the outcome. So let us go for the execution. You can find that the factorial of 5 is 120. So in this way, the recursive function can be written in Python. Thanks for watching this video.